Yes, mom is stressed. You are not crazy. You're seeing that mom is stressed out.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. You don't even have to not be anxious, but name it and then separate. This is not the kid's fault or their problem to solve. That is powerful.
Welcome to the Minimal Mom Podcast. Dawn reaches 1 million women each month with practical tips to simplify your home. Today, Dawn is joined by Britt Frank, a therapist, teacher, speaker, and trauma specialist who is committed to dismantling the mental health myths that keep us feeling stuck and sick. Whether she's leading a workshop, teaching a class, or working individually with private clients, Britt's goal is to educate, empower, and equip people to transform even their most persistent and long-standing patterns of thinking and doing.
Well, Britt, welcome back. I was just telling you that your last podcast episode that we got to do together is by far one of our most popular, most quoted back to me. I love that too. So thank you. Thanks for keeping it real. I think anytime we feel like someone just understands our brain and where we're at, and you've been there, done it, and are on the other side to help lead us through it, I think, right? So in your words, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
That was such a nice intro. Thank you. So my shiny forward-facing credentialed resume is I'm a licensed neuropsychotherapist. I'm trained in the brain and the nervous system and trauma. And I'm also a recovering hot mess disaster attempting to be a human. And in learning what I now know, I was able to figure out a few things and did a midlife career pivot, became a therapist, and yay, here we are.
That's awesome. And yeah, I always enjoy learning from people who are like, been there, done that. Good news, there's a better way, right? Because I don't know, in a way, have we kind of started to normalize anxiety and just figure out how to live with it and not maybe take it on and figure it out?
Yeah, it's really insidious that it went from, women being labeled hysterical, hysteria, and then locked up in asylums for having menopause. And now it's like anxiety has gone from what's wrong with you? You're anxious to, of course you're anxious. You should be anxious. And so we've internalized it as this is just the state to be expected and there's nothing to be done. And this is just who I am. And that's just not true.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Yeah. So you have your first book, The Science of Stuck. And then today we're going to talk about your new workbook, which is so cool and interactive, unlike any workbook you've ever seen before. I'm excited to talk about that. But, we're in summer now. Summer should be a time where we're resting and relaxing, but for many of us, we're just as anxious as before, if not more. So why does summer sometimes bring on new levels of anxiety?
It's so interesting. And I cannot tell you the number of moms that I treat that don't have seasonal affective depression in the winter. They get it in the summer.
Really?
They get elevated anxiety, elevated depression seasonally in the summer. Because this idea that summer should be relaxing, that's for the kids. That's the kids who are out of school. That's their time to take a break. Somewhere as adults, and again, I get why, we had this little belief installed, summer is relaxing. Not for parents, it's not. So the expectation that I should be able to relax is part of the problem. We want to set up the expectations that your kids are around 24/7.
Yeah.
How and why do you expect this to be your relaxation time?
Yeah. Okay, so then what are some practical things? What do we need to be doing as the parents so that we don't feel so on edge all of the time?
Yeah, so and I love what you do because it's so practical. It's like, let's just get in it so we can feel better and get going. Step one, reset the expectations. It's not going to feel great this summer. It's great. Let's start there. Already we've dialed down because I should feel relaxed. I should be out by the pool with a book and I'm not, and I'm wasting it. And then before I know it, it's September and now I feel worse.
Well,
let's take
and
that
don't get me
off.
started on the bucket list. I see everyone on Instagram now with their summer bucket list and I'm like, nope, not doing that one. No.
Hashtag Chuckthebucket. No. No. We don't want the bucket. We want to go with, all right, summer is going to be a different kind of hard. And that sounds so morbid and depressing, but it's not because it takes the shame off of it.
Okay.
So step one, set the expectation settings to different kind of hard. Okay, great. Step two, don't ask what's wrong with me that I can't relax. Why can't I? And why am I? And why? And again, I'm a therapist telling you, don't worry about the why. It doesn't solve the problem. And I know smart, caring, achieving, go-getting, I want to do well for myself and for my family. We need to know why. You don't need to know why. You don't. I promise you don't. know why at the
That's
starting
awesome.
gate. You don't. Like, it's so comforting. I didn't like that. I'm like, no,
No.
I want to know why, because then
Right.
it's fixed. Like,
Yeah.
no, it's not. Then you're just anxious, but like now you have more information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's
No.
good. Okay.
So no more whys. So
Okay.
expectation management, ditch the why. Then we want to go to, what is anxiety actually doing? And it's not attacking you. It's not a sign of disorder. And it's certainly not who you are. We need to understand that anxiety is not a sign of brokenness. Anxiety is a sign that there is a pain, an injury, something of concern that needs to be addressed. Let's start with, your brain is not like against you. Your brain is always on your side. I don't like it either. I have anxiety too, and I don't do well in the summer either. But like, we have to start with, even if you're panicking and you have no idea even what to do or why, start with, my brain is on my side. I don't know why it's happening. I have no idea what this is, but like, my brain is on my side. I am not being attacked. I am not broken. There is no such thing as a broken person.
Wow.
Like, if you can just do those 3 steps, and I can keep going, those 3 steps are going to knock your anxiety down quite a bit, from the rafters to at least a more manageable discomfort.
That's so good. And I think sometimes we think that, like you're saying, a great summer for my kids, where they're going to go back to school, and the teacher's like, oh, what did you do? Already people have been like, oh, what's your vacation? And I'm like, I don't know. We have nothing, all I know is like the kids have a bunch of things on their calendar, and it's making it impossible to line up any kind of vacation. Right. So to say like, hey, they might watch TV for a good chunk of the summer, and we're not going to do all the camps, and we might only make it to the beach one time, and that's okay, right? Like, to dial back that expectation, that is making me feel better already.
Same thing with the holidays. Like, half of the reason that my phone as a therapist rings off the hook during the summer and during the holidays is this expectation that it should be magical and wonderful. And it's not. And yes, we do need breaks and downtime and times to pump the brakes, but this needs to be customized. Like, look at your calendar. I promise you there's going to be at least 1 month where things are not as demanding. That's your quote break. It's not. And again, as adults, we don't ever really get to fully, and if you have kids, you certainly don't get to fully unplug and detach. But like, September is back to school. November, December is holidays. But like, October might be a really good month for you to think of, all right, October is going to be my recharge sort of decompression month. Then there's spring break. That's going to be, and then May is just bananas for everybody. Yeah. So, but maybe February or March are much better times for adults to look at as their break than the summer. We have to reset, like, all of these things that we were told aren't true. So there's nothing wrong with you if you're going absolutely bananas this summer.
No, that's awesome. Britt, how much do you think, because I'm thinking, for us, a lot of us are feeling not only our own anxiety, but we feel it in our kids this time of year too. So how do we're kind of getting our own expectations in check. How do we also help them? I know there's even, now that our kids are getting a little older, of like, am I going to get to see my friends? My friends are doing this. Do I get to do this? So how do we help them with this same process?
Yeah. And again, full disclosure, if people are new to me, I am not a parent. I don't have children, so I'm not here like dishing out parenting advice. However, my first practice was a play therapy practice. I speak child fluently. I don't speak parent at all. So how to parent, I don't know, but I can tell you what's going on with the kid.
Yeah.
Because that's what
awesome.
I do.
Yeah.
So that's my disclaimer, first of all. Kids don't need perfect parents, thankfully. Kids don't need magical summer vacations. The best gift to give a child of any age is a parent who has awareness and who can manage their own nervous system, their own emotions, keep everything within, as much as is available, within a range. That is much more important. You're not going to be able to help a kid if your own nervous system is all over the place and spiking and crashing and up and down and all around. Like, kids are going to be disappointed and sad and anxious and stressed because that's the world. And it's a lot faster and a lot harder in the digital world for kids. Yeah. But the medicine is still the same. Okay. And they don't even need good parents. All of the research shows this. This is such good news for parents. Kids only need one good enough parent to be able to sort of make it to make it through. And that's generalizing, but like
But
best
that is
gift,
encouraging. Again, we
it's
are just
encouraging.
lowering expectations down here today, right?
Bring them all the way down. You don't need to be perfect. You don't
Yeah.
even need to be good. You just need to be good enough
Yeah.
that some of the time you're attuned to them.
Mhm.
And so the solution isn't fix all their problems, make them happy. The solution is help provide a container so that they can learn how to navigate disappointment and
Yeah.
frustration and sadness. But oof.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I don't know, I'm curious about this. I had read in the book, Simplicity Parenting, Kim John Payne, and he's worked with lots of kids too. And he actually said, especially for our younger kids, they need 2 days of recovery from a busy day. So if you go to the zoo, right, you plan all the things, you go to the zoo, you spend the full day, you see all the things. Now plan 2 days at home where they're just unwinding, playing, and don't have all the stimulation. So I think that even helps parents. Like, you don't need to have a jam-packed calendar, even though your friends might be doing it. Like, we actually need downtime. But do you think we need that as adults too?
I need 2 days to recover from an outing or any type of social engagement. And again, it's such a personal thing. Some people, I'm an introvert. I present extroverted. I'm not. I'm incredibly not.
Yeah.
Some people need more time. And again, I used to be very quick to what's wrong with me? Why do I need to like hide in a dark room with the lights out and the music off and to decompress? Nothing is fundamentally wrong. That's just how my brain brains.
Yeah.
And so it's almost always better to default to not enough stuff over the summer than the too much stuff. And if you pay attention to the kids, it's sort of like, like stimulation is now I'm not saying going to the zoo is the same as doing cocaine or speed, which I did, but like stimulation is going to require some down regulation in order to bring us back into like a harmonious sort of level state. And again, your kids are going to say, but my friends are going to Paris in a private jet, and then they're going to go swim with dolphins and learn how to raise baby sharks. And like, okay, well, as adults, I look online and I see people doing cool stuff every day. What a great way to start learning how to manage expectations and the comparison trap, because it doesn't go away.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think what's confusing as a parent is that they say they want to do all the things. We go to a store, they want all the new things. But then we come home and they're crabby and grouchy and on edge. And what they're really telling us is like, hey, I'm overstimulated. There's too much. Like, kids actually thrive in highly simplified spaces, right? But they don't know how to communicate that. And that has been probably the most eye-opening thing to me as we have highly simplified our home, highly simplified the kids' things. I mean, don't get me wrong. The kids they're watching TV in the room next to me right now. I'm like, okay, you're going to watch TV. You're going to be quiet. I'm going to do this. And then after that, I'll kick them off the TV and they'll go outside and play. And then they'll complain about going outside to play. But as we have simplified this and I make them just play, I'm like, boredom is not my problem to solve, right? Like, that's all on you. Like, you have food and whatnot, but like clothing, boredom, that's your own deal, right? But I force them to use their own creativity. Now they get along a good chunk of the time. They get engrossed in play. They can occupy themselves, and it's beautiful. Like, they're more content and at peace, right? They don't know how to ask for that. They ask me for all the same things. People are like, "Oh, it must be so nice that your kids don't ask for new things," I'm like, no. They ask, "Oh, can I go on the iPad? Can I go on Amazon and look at Lego sets?" And I'm like, no, right? So they still ask for it. But what I've observed as a parent is they are thriving in this simplified space and trying to keep our schedule as simple as we can, which is a fool's errand right now with these ages, but as much as we can, right? And so that has been my experience. And I try to share that with parents, but it's a slow ship to turn. Like, we live in a culture that's not promoting this.
And you said the perfect word for what we're talking about, which is boredom. And boredom is, and not just by kids, but by adults. I know plenty of adults who fear boredom as much as a toddler or an elementary school kid, because that's when all of the stuff happens. That's when all the feelings can show up. But especially for kids, boredom is not a problem to be solved. It is an opportunity for their growth and exploration. Mm-hmm. They will never learn how to become friends with their own minds if they don't have a chance to grow and build it. And boredom is the doorway that leads from one thing to the other. So like, I get kids can drive you bananas when I'm bored. And like, I have appreciation for that. But boredom, not only is it not your problem, it's not a problem, period. Much, much better to have, again, less things, than too many things. And again, really well-meaning parents that really genuinely want to provide everything for kids.
Yes.
But one of the things that we need to provide for kids is not providing the things so that they have space to grow and breathe.
That's so good. I love what you said about being friends with our brain. So for the woman who's listening right now, who is like, that's me. I can't slow down too much. I mean, I've had that experience, right? Where I'm like, slow down too much. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoosh, here are all the feelings you have been, pushing aside while you're just getting everything done, right? How do we begin to deal with this and become friends with our brains and be able to slow down a little bit and not fear that so much?
So if you want to be friends with your brain and be able to pump the brakes and relax, the word relaxation will actually trigger a fear response in a lot of women, myself included.
So don't use that word.
Like, it's true. It's like if I were to tell it, like, I don't know, any woman, have you ever been told by a man to just relax?
Oh, that's true. Just relax. You'll be like, oh,
like,
let me.
We have that encoded in our brains. Like, if you tell me to relax, I'm going to punch you in the face.
Yes.
And again, that's become trained in our brain. Why can't I just relax? Relax is not a good word. Let's not use it.
Okay.
So again, no shame. I use it too, but like, it triggers a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem is that we have this expectation that we can go from 100 miles an hour to relaxed without any problems at all. We have to microdose like relaxation so that we can develop a tolerance to it.
Wow.
Like, I am an introvert, but I'm still a type A, go, because I don't like dealing with my feelings or my mind all of the time either. But I can't just sit down and read or meditate or get out my yoga mat and like hope for love and light and peace. It's like, we're talking 30 seconds of a practice, not even 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Because our systems really have been wired to believe slow down equals danger equals something bad will happen to me or my family.
Yeah.
And we're not going to outthink that. You're not going to talk I know logically I should be able to sit down and watch a 30-minute episode, but I have to have my phone and my tablet and my computer and the TV and this and that. I do it too. But like, let's start with 30 seconds of microdosing. Not relaxation, we'll call it downshifting.
Yeah.
We want to pump the brakes, but some people can only tolerate, and I do this in my office where I set a timer I just did this yesterday, 30 seconds. And we're just going to sit here for 30 seconds. It is incredible how distressing that 30 seconds. It's like having your hand on a hot stove. 30 seconds is a long time, but that's where we start. Okay. Most people will start too big, then they won't do it. Then they beat themselves up, which then begets more cortisol, more stress, more of the thing. Start smaller than you think. Start so silly small. It feels dumb to do it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, so 30 seconds, I set the timer. What am I doing? I'm just sitting here, not thinking
nothing.
of anything. Wow.
You're doing nothing.
Okay.
You won't be able to. Like, you won't. Like, your mind, the 30-second exercise, I asked my client, I'm like, so how was that for you? She's like, I read every title of the books on your bookshelves. It's like, okay, that's where we start. Then maybe we try another time. And again, people say, well, how am I supposed to make my life better if I'm doing this in 30 seconds? And the answer is a lot faster than if you're on this cycle of too big of a bite. You get brain indigestion because your body's not used to it. And then repeat and then repeat. We've got to break it down and get to a manageable, realistic yes. That's so easy. It's easier to do it than not do it. And those builds, those compounds, and then you can do more sustainably.
That's awesome. I imagine this is something we can do with our teens too, our older kids, to challenge them to it.
Because they're watching. Like, that's the thing is, like, as a parent, even a loving, wonderful, engaged parent telling a kid, don't worry, it's fine. Kids will see the stressed out adults around them and they respond to our nervous systems first, our words second.
Yeah. How much are they sensing what we're feeling?
All of it. That, again, that's not like, oh no, now your kid's going to be in therapy forever.
No, we're just going for good enough.
And one of the ways to achieve good enough if you're stressed is to and this is one of the most powerful tools that you can use on any age kid, even an infant who's not actually understanding the words. Yes, mom is stressed. You are not crazy. You're seeing that mom is stressed out. It's not your fault. I know what to do to manage it. It's not your fault. It's not your problem, and I'll be okay. You don't even have to not be anxious, but name it and then separate. This is not the kid's fault or their problem to solve. That is powerful.
That is so good. Wow, that is really powerful, because then again, I'm not taking on the shame of, I shouldn't be feeling anxious. Now here I go again. I'm feeling anxious and now they're feeling it. It's saying like, okay, it is what it is, right? Like, but
Yes.
it's not your fault. I love that.
Same thing with sadness. I hear
Yeah.
parents say, I don't want my kid to see me crying because I don't want to upset them. Well, it's more upsetting for a kid to accurately pick up on mom's cues and then have mom say, I'm fine, it's fine. Like that,
Mhm.
the kid they don't have the words, but they're like, wait, I'm seeing this, I'm feeling this, but mom says it's fine. So I can't trust my own judgment now. And it's unintentional, but that creates a pretty big problem. If you're crying, just say to your kid, yeah, mommy's sad and I'm having a big giant feeling right now. It's not your fault. It's not your problem. And I'm going to be okay. And then what a wonderful way to model how to have big feelings. I never saw my parents have feelings ever. And then like,
no, that's
wonder
so
why, you know?
Well, and I had kind of an opposite experience the other day where my oldest said like, I'm really surprised that didn't upset you more. And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't show any like, and again, I just wasn't thinking about it or anything, but I was like, so then I had to circle back and be like, no, that actually was really upsetting to me. And like, I did, and so, so maybe some of us have become kind of stoic and they can sense things, but they're kind of maybe confused by our reactions at times. So to get into that habit of being able to just talk about it with them, I mean, wow, that's powerful.
And doable. And again, I'm not saying you should feel every feeling all of the time and vomit everything everywhere.
No, yeah.
I'm saying if your kids are picking up on it anyway, and if you don't have the resources in that moment to not feel that, then your most powerful tool is name it and separate the kid from it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't solve your problem, but that does solve the parenting piece of that problem and protects them from internalizing it. So you don't have to even not be anxious. Just name it and own it.
Yeah, that's so good. My iPhone did an update recently and it added like the journal app. And I'm like, that's so dumb. I don't journal. Right. And then I was like, but I always have my phone with me and I could set it so it only unlocks with my face. Cause then I'm like, well, I don't know, there are people seeing my thoughts. Right. So I've just been bullet pointing like when I feel something strong and it's kind of like hanging on and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this, but I don't want this anymore. And I'll just jot it down in here. It has been remarkable, the sense of like, I'm like, okay, like it's still kind of there, but it's like not the same level of there anymore. And that has been like really helpful for me.
I love that. And it's like brain drain. We need some place to put it all because it can't all get solved when you're juggling all of the schedules and all of the demands, but we do always have our phones. I really love that.
And I think it's a small thing, right? Because I always think, and I've been told before, you should journal. And I'm like, I'm sure that's probably true. It probably is right. But again, it's that whole thing of like, I'm going to sit down with my journal. And then, this is like a smaller thing that I'm actually doing now because I broke it down and it's
better done than good. Yeah. Like any tool that you'll do is better than the good version of it that you won't do. I love that so much. A fun hack is if you're in a good space, like while you're in like the I'm capable and calm and confident and I've got this locked down, make a video to your future self like an hour from now who's not going to feel that at all. Yeah. So you have like a documented record that you have gotten into that state before, and who better to encourage you than that version of you who's embodying that state that you want to get back to.
Well, that is so good because that was actually something else I wanted to talk to you about today is I hear from so many women like, hey, I get all fired up. I'm going to declutter my house. I might even get started on it. And then day 2, I am like, who cares? Like how literally told me earlier, she's like, I get home from work, I could not care less, right? But she's like, but I know the benefits, but so how do we keep that momentum going? I mean, I think most of us can relate to that experience. Like, I was so excited.
Me too. And again, this is an expectations game. Yeah. Don't expect to care after that initial like, yay. Like they call this the pink cloud in drug addiction recovery. Like when you're first in recovery, you're so excited. You're like, I'm recovering and I'm doing it. That pink cloud goes away very quickly. Okay. So don't expect your feelings to match the initial, like, I know it's good for me, but I don't feel like it. You're not going to feel like it. Okay. Like it's almost guaranteed. Yeah. You're not going to feel like it. Yeah. The better question than, why don't I feel like it? I know I should do this. Why should I, ask yourself, what can I say yes to right now? And what you might be able to say yes to is just picking up one little sock off the floor. And I know we talked about this before, those micro yeses. Yeah. They're so powerful. Motivation is not a thing. And this is a myth that I need to feel motivated to do it. You do not need motivation to do things. Motivation happens and anyone decluttering will know, once I get started, then I'm kind of okay. Once I'm at the gym, I'm fine. That's because motivation kicks in after you start, not before. So start with your teeth like gritted. Start feeling like total crap. Start however you have to, but just start, because then motivation will kick in and then you'll be able to keep going.
Yeah. And I'm even having the thought now of being like telling your kids too, of like, I don't want to pick this stuff up right now. I don't want to, make dinner, but I am choosing to right now. And I'm not even committing to cleaning the kitchen after I make dinner, but I am committing to making dinner, and you're going to come help. And, but like, I see something powerful in speaking this out. And even we can have young witnesses around us, but there's something about like, I'm going to tell you this. I don't feel like it right now, but I'm actually going to do it.
It's, what a relief. Like I grew up in a very, 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 like, you do not leave messes. I still am very messy now, as like, that's like my still toddler tantrum response to my childhood. Yeah. But like, it was always so easy for them. And then when I really struggled, like at one point I woke up in bed with like mountains of like coffee cups full of cigarettes. This is gross, but this is true. Like cigarette butts and sandwiches and just crap like it was bad. But I always thought, well, like, I guess they just had it. I guess for like normal adults, they can just pick up after themselves and I just can't. It would have been so helpful for me to see an adult when I was little go, well, I really don't feel like it and I don't want to, but that's okay. I don't have to want to. It's a good decision anyway.
Yeah.
Like, where's the cartoon for that? Someone make that. That's a good idea.
No, I am feeling so much freedom from this conversation with you right now, because how many times and I've thought that all the time, what is wrong with me that I can't even like make dinner for my family today? Like, and I'm actually good at a lot of other things, but for whatever reason, my house and dinner and dishwashers, I'm just like, could not care less. I really don't care that much. Right. And so then I'm always like, but why? Why are other women such good moms? And so, they must care more about their family. Obviously, they love them better, So this is really liberating.
And I appreciate the dilemma. Now, I don't wake up in the same quite, code red situation that I used to, but it is still a struggle for me in a way that it's just not for some people to just pick up after themselves. I do sometimes feel like, but the why question, question assumes that there's something wrong and broken about us. Yeah. The why is tell me that I'm wrong so I can know that I'm just, that I'm unlovable or unworthy. It's like, let's just assume that whatever you're struggling with made sense and has an origin. We don't need to know what it is. Yeah. We do know that your brain is on your side, that there's no such thing as broken, and that if we can get you to a yes right now, that's going to pick up speed. And I can tell you, as a therapist who has sat for more than 10,000 hours with people, even the shiniest looking people all have something behind. I am behind closed doors. Like that is what my office is. I hear it all. Nobody has all of it figured out all at the same time.
That's so good. I love that. Well, let's talk a little bit about your workbook. So it goes along with your book, The Science of Stuck. And so tell us bring us through it a little bit. Well, I just love how I'm going the wrong way, like interactive. This is not like any workbook I've seen before. So tell us a little bit more about it.
Yay. Well, you'll love it. That was like my minimalist solution to like, not everyone wants to read sentences and paragraphs and dig through books for that one nugget of whatever they need at that point. So like, I like, no, sometimes you don't have the bandwidth to read. And that's so a workbook is like, let's cut the fluff and get right to the meat.
Yes.
So, and thank you for the feedback. I structured the workbook so the way it starts is you take a quiz. It's like a Cosmo type quiz. It's not hard. This is not like chemistry and algebra. And then based on your answers, you get what's your best way of learning? Are you a thinker, a feeler, a do the things person, or just like I want to be present? I'm not one of those people. Yeah. But a doer, a beer, a thinker, or a feeler. I'm primarily a thinker.
Yeah, me too.
I don't want to be in my feelings. I just want to think about it. I want to analyze it. I don't want to do anything about it.
Out of it, right?
Yeah,
that's why that why question, that's hard when you take that away.
All day.
Okay.
So then once you have your style, let's not mess with all the, like, if you're not a journaler, why do you have to now wade through 20 pages of journal prompts? It's like, so if you're a thinker, I have a little thought bubble, then you flip through the book and you look for the thought bubble icons. Those are for you. Like that is for, and then within each section, if you don't care about boundaries, don't go there. If you care about anxiety, go there. If you care about dating, go there. If you care about like how to declutter your inner closets, because that's a chapter.
Yeah, I like
go
that.
there.
Yeah.
And then you just look for, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. So
I
you can
love that
make
so
it,
much.
you can make it fit for you.
Yes.
So,
It's brilliant. It's so good and so well done. So, yeah, I just feel so seen, right now and heard, and just like I feel like you just understand what people, I mean, it's not just for women, but, you understand what people need and you understand the pace at which our life is right now. And so, like you said, your book is wonderful, but if you start books and never finish them, this is something actually that you could get through and jump around and not feel behind in. So that is so cool. And Britt, you've been one of my best cheerleaders for the impact of simple living on mental health. So maybe, I don't know, would you just maybe want to give a little promo for why decluttering? You actually apologized to me that you didn't put decluttering in the book. So
I know, I do. I felt so bad.
we'll
I do have a
collaborate on a
chapter.
decluttering book.
We need to. I have a chapter called Decluttering Your Inner Closets, but I
that.
didn't actually talk about why decluttering. I cannot emphasize enough. Like we do need to collab on something because all of the like if you were to come to my office and you have a cluttered home, I'm gonna send you home and tell you like go to you because nothing helps you think better, make better decisions and faster, not be stuck in the analysis swirl. Nothing gets that job done as fast, as effectively as a decluttered home. Like it's real, it's physiological, it does things to your brain, it does things for your brain, it settles your nervous system. Like it is one of the practices in the book is make your bed and not like Pinterest worthy multi-layered pillows. It's like just smooth the sheet, fold over the blanket, and then you're done. Because when you're the act of decluttering is an anti-anxiolytic. So when you're decluttering, you're touching things and you're moving things and your brain is seeing things go from this to that. That does a lot of jobs in your mind and in your body. And so like the first order of business is declutter. And then we get into like, are you eating food? I can't help you if your diet is Red Bull and vodka all day. And like, that's not good. Our work won't work if that's a thing. Decluttering is always the first order of business for mental health before everything else.
That is so good and so powerful. And I think it's important too for us to know that our brains are like, they're still moldable. They can still change. So even if we have some, I remember one of the counselors we met with early on in our marriage, he talked about like, I understand. It's like your front lawn and you have been cutting across it to get to the mailbox every day for 20 years, right? And so that path, it's pretty entrenched, not going to lie to you. Like that's pretty there, but it's not too late. So anyone of any age right now, I mean, can we still make new habits, change our brain, become happier or less anxious?
Yes. The answer is hard resound. That's why I don't do the this is who I am, because we know from neuroplasticity, which is a la way of saying your brain can change, and it does, that the brains that we have now are not the brains that we have a year, 5 year, 10 years. So you might always have that like very well-worn path through the grass, but that doesn't mean you can't now build, like my pathways to destruction and chaos are still there, but I have so many other roads in my brain available to me now.
Yeah.
And again, I don't go with the, well, I'm just a messy person. This is who I am. I have worked really hard specifically on decluttering for myself because it was one of the bigger struggles for me. And then I saw how powerful it is on so many levels. It's like, it's a real, this is not just a be clean because you should. It's not a moral issue. It's like, it's a real thing.
Yeah. That is so good. Well, we are going to link to our first podcast interview, your book. If you're a book reader, read it. Well, anyway, actually, even your book, The Science of Stuck, is so enjoyable. You're a great storyteller and just so down to earth. So, I mean, a great read too, but obviously grab the workbook as well too, because I mean, this is just a taste. Our conversation has been so helpful. It's just a taste of what you're going to find in here too. So Britt, thank you so much. Let that roll around your brain, the decluttering book we can write together, and then we'll get get going on that too. I know you have lots of free time.
We're going to find a way to make it happen. Thank you. This was so much fun. I love talking to you.
Thank you for joining us on the Minimal Mom Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who might find value in embracing a simplified lifestyle.